Born and raised in Smithtown, 1937. I'm here all my life.
Been in Kings Park all my life, other than my stint in the United States Navy. And I'm actually a third generation man from Kings Park.
Born and raised in Brooklyn. I left Brooklyn I was in my early 20s. I was married to my first husband. I was actually pregnant with my third child at the time. We decided to move all the way out to Suffolk County.
My grandparents, my father's side of the family, grew up on Maple Avenue in Smithtown. My mother's family was Marshals. They grew up in St. James on Florafield.
I graduated from Kings Park High School in 1966, and my first job out of high school was actually, my dad was a contractor, so I worked with my dad for 2 years after graduating, and then I went to the United States Navy and did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam.
Most people, when they left Brooklyn, went as far as Nassau County. Some of them went to Staten Island. But we were like the pioneers.
Anyone who knows Indian Head Road now and drives down to Jericho Turnpike from Main Street in Kings Park, when I was a young kid, that was all potato fields. So I would ride my bike all the way along there. All along 25A were farms.
We had J.C. Penney's and Grant's and Woolworths and about 3 or 4 food stores.
Every week when we went house hunting, we couldn't afford anything that we liked in Nassau County, and what we could afford, we didn't care for. So every Saturday we went one town further on the Long Island Expressway, and one day we got off at Comac, and we bought the local newspaper and went into a realtor, wound up buying a home in Comac.
And I used to actually dig clams and worms for bait to make a couple bucks to buy school clothes and things of that nature.
We used to decorate the big tree in Smithtown by the Presbyterian Church for Christmas, and I was the one that used to have to climb that tree and hang all of your Christmas lights on it.
I would ride my bike down to what was called Mooma's Pond in Fort Salonga. In those days, you could do those kind of things. There wasn't as much traffic. It was a different era, but it was a great place to grow up.
I used to go down there and skate on Miller's Pond, and sometimes the fire department would come down at night and with floodlights, and so we could skate at night down there, start to have a little fire down there.
When Jim and I got married, he was from Kings Park, originally also from Brooklyn, lived in Kings Park since 1970. We are married 22 years. He sold his house to one of his children. I sold my house in Comac to one of my children, and we bought a brand new house together in Kings Park.
I started in 1971 with the Town of Smithtown Department of Parks as a laborer. I was being paid at that time $1.10 an hour.
I went to work for the Town of Smithtown in the traffic department, and I retired from there in around 1998.
So I started a business first in my house. It was a medical transcription business. It was first in my house, and then as my youngest child got older, I moved it out of my house, and I actually bought a building on Haunted Road.
I rose through the ranks to be a foreman in charge of building maintenance and construction. In 1989, I became the deputy director of that department, and in 1991, I became the director of Department of Parks, Buildings and Grounds.
Went to a couple of foreign tours, Greece and Italy, Spain, and when I got discharged, I just came back to Smithtown and went back to work as an electrician.
I had it 30 years actually. I sold my business, and then I was looking for something to get involved in, and along came the Kings Park Chamber of Commerce, and it's a perfect fit for me at this point in my life. I love it. I work with the most wonderful people in the whole entire world.
I was appointed to the Smithtown Town Board to fill a vacancy when Michael Fitzpatrick went to the Assembly. And I served as a councilman for 12 years. I ran for town supervisor and was very fortunate to be elected.
Hopefully I've made a difference. I love what I do. I love working there, and it fits perfectly with my love for this town and now the Smithtown Historical Society.
I believe that the Historical Society in Smithtown is one of the most important entities that we have. And I say that because Smithtown, it's well known, it has an extremely rich history, the entire town.
Living here all my life, really didn't realize what the Historical Society was all about until I got involved with it.
There's so many important events that happened on Long Island to shape our history, and specifically in Smithtown, we have so many buildings that date back to the 1600s. They've been very instrumental in refurbishing and keeping them historic, but modernizing them.
I'm extremely honored that I'm being chosen. Not so sure I'm worthy of it, but it is an honor. I'm just pleased to help this society thrive, and to be chosen was a little bit of a surprise, but I'm excited, and of course I'm being honored with some great people as well.
Surprised is not the word. I was floored, honored. I didn't think of myself in those terms. To be an honoree of such a wonderful organization, I'm flattered and so happy and so thankful, and I couldn't be more pleased than I am.
It really means a lot. And I never thought that I would be an honoree for the Historical Society.
You feel so much a part of something that you didn't know that you were missing by living somewhere else. Every place that I've lived, I've been happy in, but Kings Park is just unto itself.
The past was great, but progress is good as well for our future of our children and grandchildren that are going to stay in Smithtown, and that's our hope.